Hello, everybody. We will get started to May 9th weekly town hall meeting. Happy Monday. Today's agenda: projects and development updates, marketing updates, Q&A. We will also have collaboration. Robinson, can you please get us started with projects and development updates, please?
Okay, as usual, let's start with our process improvements. So we had last week, we had added two more items to this list. One was regarding our block explorer, which has been not used for a long while. We have restored it. I think it's better to say restored as it is with older logs and data. Now we are trying to make sure that the block data is up to date and it is showing the recent blocks. That being said, the Explorer which is available on HTTPS Peerplays.network, it's pretty basic and at least 3 years old. So it looks pretty basic. In any case, we're trying to get this back online and fully functional. So that's one item. The another action item which we had taken up based on the community feedbacks was that our Bitcoin related documentation it's quite complex and it's not very friendly for the end users. So we have been working. The marketing team was very proactive and they've started working on the content for these screens. So they're working on it. So these are some of the new items and their update in this screen. So that's on the process improvements. Starting with the text UI, as we have been mentioning in the past several weeks, the activity is very minimal here, but we have a new release 0.7.6 where QA is happening. The number of bugs and the number of items are pretty low, and the production deployment still remains at 0.7.2. Again, the minor items being in progress are shown here. The burn down and burn up charts, self-explanatory. Overall work is also going down on this project. There are the number of bugs and everything is pretty low on this, and I guess this will remain in this fashion for the coming months. So in the next UI, we have CI/CD. Like we're working on the CI/CD side, and a lot of things are being done, and we are also finalizing our functional specs. We do have some progress or some changes to be done in what is implemented and what is being given in the usability design screens that we have done. So that work is going on. And we also have a QA release 0.04, which is being given to the QA. So there's like a lot of activity going on this project. And I think next to the blockchain project, this is where we have most of the activity going on at this point in time. So here is our burn down and burn up charts. Again, our progress charts. These are primarily earned value analysis for the next UI. And this current slide is about Dexbot, where our progress is primarily on the mainnet testing. This is pretty much completed, and once this is final, we'll be creating a release with installers. Only the release with the installers for Windows, Mac, and Linux. That only the procedure is left. Otherwise, there is no other development happening on this project. Blockchain updates. The major item is that we are preparing for the mainnet release. So we have taken a lot of time for this one. This release fixes a lot of the outstanding issues. The major one being there was a blockchain corruption issue, which was forcing people to do the replay or even re-download or resync of the blockchain data whenever they had to restart the nodes. So this is being addressed. That is one of the major item apart from massive refactoring across the board. And we right now have a Beatrice release, which used to be our older testnet version. So right now it is just a JIT branch called Beatrice, and we are performing QA on this. So on the QA side also, most of the items are completed. We had kind of from the last minute, we had made some changes with respect to ZMQ and bringing back support for 1804 LTS Ubuntu version. So those are the primary items being worked on right now. We are also closing, or we have rather completed the development of Sun Hive voting. It is under QA right now. On other activity, we are also progressing on the discovery phase on Ethereum Suns. So these are the major activities on major development activities and QA activities on the blockchain side. We are also looking into the substrate platform. So we managed to have some sample code running in our local development machines, and two of us, me and Sajjan, we are working on it. In addition to that, we are also exploring consensus algorithms and some sort of heartbeat or cluster membership management related algorithms, so that we can use them for our substrate related development projects. So that these are the major activities on the blockchain side. This slide has the activities. So as you can see, there are a lot of things going on here. The earned value analysis is here. For progress, this has progress from around 5 months right now. This one, after the March timeframe, this is one of the major weeks where we had like a lot of, or major, this is one of the weeks where we had completed a lot of new features, as well as a lot of bug fixes are there. We are also preparing for a mainnet release. Hard fork is going to be sometime either end of this month or early next month. So as soon as we complete the QA, we will be announcing the hard fork dates. The Peerplays Python library. So here our primary focus is the performance testing, which is being actively worked on. I think the coming week, we will also see some work on the BOS and Bookie side, because we're trying to improve the installation procedures and reinvestigate cost per data, etc. So we may also see some work related to that of Peerplays library. NFT marketplace. So here, the primary focus is the UIs, the UI designer and the product manager is working on. And apart from that, the features and bugs, bug fixes, features, this is going on. And the main demo is again being investigated. Okay, our charts on the Express NFT. So that's all from the development team. And I think just want to add that we are working on the mainnet hard fork release. So as soon as the QA is completed, we'll be publishing a release, and request all the witnesses to look out for these updates, because we should be, there are some changes which will require replay of the existing nodes and things like that. So please look out for the updates. So that's all from the development team. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Michael, please start us off with marketing updates.
Thank you, Kelly. Good morning, everybody. The marketing updates for this week are as follows. The SWOT analysis project for the 2022 projects, stage 1 is complete. The results have been tabulated, summarized, and provided internally, and the marketing plans are in the very beginning stages of being developed. As a result of this project, the information contained within the SWOT analysis is going to basically be the backbone for any of the marketing efforts going forward, and will be kind of the guide on how we're going to be approaching everything going forward. The design and launch of the careers landing page on peerplays.com is complete, and training is being done on the back end to allow for use of the job board. This will allow the jobs to be posted on the website and get indexed, just as a career section in general, and as positions specifically. Those links can also get posted on our various socials and on LinkedIn and whatnot, to also drive traffic to the website, so people can also see more of what it is that we're doing and give them a space to poke around in. We are undertaking a rewriting of the new witness documentation for clarity and ease of use. We received some feedback that it wasn't very clear, so we are going to address that and get new documentation done. We're also refocusing the employer branding that we've done. We're going to do this to coincide with the career section being available, and we have a meeting starting tomorrow to basically go over where we're at and where we're going to go forward with that. And we're also conceiving a meet the team behind the Peerplays pages and video. We're going to create this in an attempt to really talk about who it is behind the project. Jonathan Bobinson will be part of that. It'll help with recruitment, and it'll also help humanize the project as well. That's all the marketing updates. We can go to Salah for the performance now.
Thank you, Michael. In terms of performance for last week, we got good growth in terms of the new users and visitors to the site, mainly because we have relaunched fitness ad campaign. So we are looking to get like a better stats and get better conversion compared to the previous test. And also we'll have more like funnel, like and more targeted audience than before. So we hope this week we'll see a good result from it. As this is like the main pages that drive traffic and to the website. So the mainly is the Become Witness landing page, and also the homepage are the main pages that bring traffic for the last week. Thank you. In terms of social media performance for the last week, Twitter is still growing in terms of engagement. We're seeing good growth in terms of YouTube, as we will be launching a new project for YouTube in terms of we will be working on reaction videos based on the top influencers in the crypto and blockchain the industry in YouTube. And then we'll be having weekly videos, around 3 to 4 videos. And then we will start seeing really good growth starting next week. And then I will keep you updated next week reports on how the videos are doing. That's from my side in terms of performance. Thank you, Okeli.
Thank you very much, Michael and Salah. Jonathan, can you please start us off with the collaborations update, please?
Thank you very much. Okay, so these are the collaboration updates for this past week. In the gaming sector, we had Gaming Benefits Corporation with charitable gaming. We had a call which was rather interesting. It touched on a few points in regards to esports, as a matter of fact, and how we would work with Peerplays with that. This week, they're lining up a call with somebody else in the industry, again, in relation to utilizing Peerplays. So that should be useful. So that's an ongoing project, and that's still progressing well. In the community sector, we have Avalon Scenes, the community platform. We are still working with them in collaboration to have that implemented with Peerplays, and it's well underway. There were numerous calls this past week on the technical side to have that implemented, and there should be more on that this week as well. In the community sector, again, with 3 Speak Media, with the Speak Network project. We had numerous calls with them over this past week where we discussed where the project was at and where its collaboration is with Peerplays. And right now we are still in ongoing talks in regards to what the next steps are with their project and in alignment with Peerplays. Since we have Sun's Hive fully operational with Peerplays, we have the other features that are available. The only next steps are going to be how the current Speak token drop so it works with Peerplays next. So we're going to be working on that throughout this week as well. So there'll be more on that next week. Stay tuned. And in the medical sector, there was an extensive call with the Mars VR Labs in relation to their current product development. This is they're moving towards a gamified rehabilitation system. There's a lot of moving parts to what they're creating with the VR environment. It's not just a software sort of thing. It's also hardware. But we are quite tight with them in regards to making sure that Peerplays is going to be where they are going to be building their gamified community for communicating across multiple networks around the world that are going to be utilizing Mars VR for their rehabilitation systems. So that was a very, very good call. So those were the primary collaborations from this past week. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. On to questions, comments, thoughts. I will put it out to everybody here. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or thoughts? And I had 2 questions come in from the community. Jonathan, this first one's for you. Does PBSA plan on supporting the existing dApps that have been invested in, such as Bookie, 50/50, Sweeps, etc., with Sun support? If so, how and when?
Yeah. So as a matter of fact, so you said Bookie, Sweeps, 50/50, etc. So Sweeps and 50/50 are the same, just to be clear. Sweeps is is what we refer to as the underlying smart contract per se in Peerplays, where you can create various types of sweepstakes lottos. 50/50 is a single implementation of that smart contract, which focuses on creating a 50/50 type draw, which is quite popular as far as creating charitable lotto type lotteries. So then there's Bookie. What's happened actually, this relates to some of the comments that have been made over the course of the past, I'd say, month or so in the town hall, where we talk about the future of Peerplays and the direction we're taking and the approach we're taking. There's been talk about airdrops. There's been talk about a substrate. And if you put that all together, you can see that there's a strategic intent for us to see more focus in relation to the various functions of Peerplays as we move forward. So the issues that we had with the current contracts, I guess you could call them, is that their designs didn't align well with business interests. Although we did make many efforts in the past to have them adopted. We also put out a lot of documentation. We provided support to anybody who needed it to implement these contracts for themselves as well. As you know, with Bookie, the primary issue we had with that running was one of being able to maintain effective data feeds with the witnesses. Now, our answer to that in the past had been with Couch Potato. If you remember that Couch Potato was an answer to the issues the witnesses had in regards to oracleization data not being formatted well enough for the blockchain to be able to then have it published. So that tool had been implemented, had been created, but there had never been enough interest or uptake for it to be available. The witnesses could have run that at any time, but there was a desire to see more features added to it. And at the time, we simply didn't have the bandwidth, and nobody pursued it after that. So in terms of going forward, what we are doing actually, and as a matter of fact, last week, just started working on this element. These projects, we do have some bandwidth now to have somebody working on this where we're going to be testing what we have available with those end to end, and then re-implementing a demo version in similar fashion to what we had done in the past, where the code was available. There's a demo version available if anybody wanted to utilize it. It's going to require that the witnesses are able to update with the BOSS software. That BOSS system, though, now today is available in a Docker. So it's going to be a lot easier to implement BOSS. It's just going to be a matter of running the Docker, basically. And with the utilization of Couch Potato, it should be very easy for us to be able to get those data feeds as well. So we are going to implement this in a demo fashion to align with the intent of offering a special airdrop that will be associated with each of these different contracts. So Bookie is essentially an information exchange. It's an implementation of an information exchange. And with that, we'll be looking at tokenizing its value. With the Easy 50/50, aka sweeps, that is obviously a sweepstakes contract, and that will have its own tokenized value. And this will be an airdrop, which is going to be quite massive, reaching multiple networks within the industry with a very targeted approach in relation to ensuring that those that are interested and have an intrinsic interest in working with these types of contracts, have potentially even some expertise, are going to be able to carry these forward with more, shall we say, passion, with how it gets implemented, how it gets talked about, how the community engages with it. This way, instead of what we currently have in Peerplays, which is the largest graphene implementate, Peerplays has the most smart contracts of any graphene implementation in the world, hands down. Like, there's no other blockchain that even comes close, not even EOS. And because of this, we have a situation where there's a diffusion of what you might say focus, but there's a diffusion of effort which can be put into any one of these contracts. So what we need is to have more of a micro community focus with each of these elements in order to see them get the attention they require. So if you've been paying attention to how we're developing, oftentimes some of the comments that have been made in the past have been that, oh, the developers are just not focused enough. They're going in all these different directions. But what we often do is we are updating things as demand calls for it. So if there's no demand for something, then we're not going to spend resources trying to make improvements to it. And sadly enough, there's oftentimes opportunities there. It's just that at the time there was no demand. So take, for example, the very first contract that created Peerplays, which was rock, paper, scissors. Some of the rock, paper, scissors tournament specifically. That, if there was more interest and effort put into that, that could have turned into a really interesting game, especially with DeFi protocols built in. So, but unfortunately, there's just no demand, even though there might be an opportunity there. So to wrap up, essentially everything, all the pieces I've put together here, there is work being done on all of these contracts. There is plans to have them introduced, though they won't be in the same way they were introduced in the past. They'll be introduced in a way that aligns with the intent to introduce an airdrop, which will grow more community interest around those specific contracts, and thus creating micro communities. In some cases, these micro communities would actually be large. Referring to them as micro communities is just to differentiate them between just being one community. But these micro communities essentially will then take focus in ensuring the success, all these opportunities which have been developed in Peerplays. Now, with this introduction, of course, there is the possibility that once again, there isn't enough interest. There could be a possibility that because we've gone where the attention has gone, we may put a lot of effort into promoting, for example, Bookie Pro. I doubt this, but there could be a possibility we put effort into promoting the airdrop. There just isn't enough interest. And then when it does come time to have it come out, we don't see much community support for it. We are then faced with the possibility that some of these operations which have been built in Peerplays, which provide opportunity for anyone to use them, may not be things which have a viable future. So it will be completely up to everyone out there who has an interest in these particular contracts to rally behind them. We are going to do our best to ensure that the communities at large know about these airdrops that are happening, but it will ultimately depend on how much traction each of them gets. And there's a good possibility that given the timing of things, which highly impact the success of many elements, given the timing of what's happening in the geopolitical sphere around the world today, some things are going to fall by the wayside and others will thrive. So that's a long answer to a simple question, but that it does give you some insights into the future plans we do have with utilizing these existing contracts.
Thank you very much. This next question is for Bobinson. What is the time horizon for updating the JavaScript library to bring it to levels current with other graphene dApp chains?
We have already made some updates, security updates, and smaller fixes to the library. And our plan is that we will align this with the next development. So the next goal is the next release goal is around end of the year, and along with the same, we will be working on and enhancing the JS library as well. Because if you look at Next, it needs a lot of these Web3 features like wallets and better management of keys, etc. So we are trying to align these two together to get the maximum efficiency. So around 6 to 7 months from now, we should be having a full-fledged Web3 supported JS loop.
Thank you, Bobinson. All right, that wraps up today's town hall meeting, Monday, May 9th. We will see you all next week, Monday, May 16th. Have a great week.
Thanks,
Thank you so
everybody.
much.
Thanks, everyone.